M. Garneau.
Je vais le dire dans les deux langues. Par respect, je veux parler avec mon caucus d'abord, mais j'aurai des mots à dire plus tard cet après-midi dans la Chambre. Et après ça, si vous voulez faire un scrum, je serai disponible. So to put it in English, out of respect, I wish to talk to my scrum, to my caucus first, but I will be available after question period today. Well, actually, I'm going to have a chance to speak in the House. Then after that, I'll scrum to your heart's content. Thank you.
Bien, c'était effectivement un grand choc. Je l'ai entendu parler il y a quelques minutes, avec beaucoup d'émotion. On a entendu le témoignage de M. Garneau. Moi, quand je me suis présenté en 2015, c'était quelqu'un qui m'inspirait, de milieu scientifique, ingénieur, travaillé dans la Marine royale canadienne. Alors, c'est une grande perte pour le caucus du Québec, mais je pense que c'est une grande perte aussi pour les Canadiens.
Un lien avec ses positions sur le français? Croyez-vous qu'il y a un lien avec ses positions qui ont un peu dérangé sur le français?
M. Garneau quitte après, je pense, 14 ans de service comme parlementaire, après plusieurs décennies de service, comme on le sait, comme astronaute, président de l'Agence canadienne spatiale. Donc, il a beaucoup donné à notre société et maintenant, il veut se consacrer un peu plus à sa famille, puis je le comprends tout à fait.
Merci beaucoup.
Premièrement, quand on pense à Marc, on pense vraiment au don de soi. Pourquoi? Parce que Marc Garneau était un homme qui a donné sa vie pour son pays. Que ce soit lorsqu'il était plus jeune, puis est devenu notre premier astronaute, puis inspiré des millions de Canadiens, que ce soit aussi par la suite lorsqu'il s'est lancé en politique. Alors c'est un ami, une personne que j'apprécie beaucoup et je suis sincèrement triste de le voir.
Son départ peut-il être lié à ses sorties sur le français qui ont quand même un peu dérangé à l'interne?
Je pense que la carrière de Marc Garneau est plus grande qu'un dossier. Je pense que aussi, Marc a toujours été un homme très droit qui défendait ses propres convictions. Et il a toujours fait avec beaucoup de respect.
Pensez-vous que c'est la goutte qui a peut-être débordé le vase? Pensez-vous que c'est la goutte qui a peut-être fait déborder le vase pour M. Garneau?
Je pense que Marc a beaucoup donné. Puis je pense que c'est le temps de sa famille.
Marc Garneau?
Yes. So, when thinking about Marc Garneau, we think about a man that has always served Canadians. Not only is he a great Canadian, but he was one of the first to inspire us by going to space, but also taking risks at the time. And later on, he decided to continue to serve his country by going into politics and being there, you know, during tough times for the Liberal Party, but also when we were also in government. He's a man of, how can I say? Sorry. Comment on dit droit en anglais? Straight? No. Sorry. So he's a righteous man. Okay, that was really funny, guys. So he's a very righteous man. He stands for his convictions. And he's a good friend, and I'm really sad to see. Okay, thank you!
Ça a été confirmé par plusieurs de vos collègues, M. Garneau aussi, semble-t-il. Vous réagissez comment?
Bien, écoutez, je veux dire, Marc est un collègue que j'ai d'abord admiré comme citoyen alors qu'il était astronaute. Il est allé dans l'espace. C'est un homme qui a accompli de grandes choses et qui a une campagne de service public auprès du Canada et des Canadiens et des Canadiennes qui a duré toute sa vie. Alors, il a toute mon admiration et je le remercie énormément pour tout ce qu'il a fait.
Parlez-nous de sa contribution au sein du Conseil des ministres.
Honnêtement, je l'ai moins connu au Conseil des ministres puisque je suis arrivé en temps de pandémie. Il est parti du Conseil des ministres pas longtemps après. Alors, je l'ai moins côtoyé dans cette dynamique-là.
Pensez-vous que sa position sur la réforme de la loi sur les langues officielles, ça a incité, ça a encouragé son départ?
Il en a fait l'annonce ce matin durant la rencontre du caucus du Québec.
Can I speak in English on Mr. Garneau, his departure?
I've known and admired Minister Garneau long before I came into politics. He's Canadian who went to space. He has a long and accomplished career of public service for Canada and Canadians, and I'll be eternally grateful for everything he's done for all of us. Thank you. Merci.
Mais la caméra est ici.
Attendez une seconde, oui.
Sur le projet de loi C11, donc ça revient en Chambre. Vous rejetez un des amendements principaux qui était proposé par le Sénat. Est-ce que vous craignez qu'il y ait un ping-pong législatif et que ça retarde encore plus?
Bien, tout d'abord, je veux remercier les sénateurs pour leur travail là-dessus. C'est le projet de loi qui a passé le plus de temps au Sénat. Il a été étudié amplement à la Chambre et au Sénat. Maintenant, c'est le temps d'aller de l'avant. Le secteur de la musique, de la télévision, du cinéma le demande. Je pense qu'on arrive à un bon compromis. Et on a accepté la grande majorité des amendements du Sénat, mais pas ceux qui pouvaient créer un passe-droit.
Pourquoi vous parlez d'un passe-droit? Pouvez-vous expliquer un peu plus pourquoi vous rejetez cet amendement?
Ça crée un passe-droit comme tel, c'est-à-dire que tout ce qui est contenu commercial doit être inclus, que ce soit sur une plateforme ou sur une autre. Donc, ça reste. Je pense qu'en allant d'avant comme ça, on tient compte des besoins, des commentaires de tous, d'une certaine façon, et on vient appuyer le secteur de la musique.
Why reject the Senate's amendments on Bill C11?
Votre réaction au départ de M. Garneau, est-ce que c'est lié à ses prises de position au sujet du projet de loi sur la langue?
Marc Garneau, je l'ai laissé confirmer son départ, mais simplement un mot sur lui. C'est un grand homme. Moi, j'ai eu l'occasion de travailler avec lui durant près de 17 ans. C'est un homme qui a donné beaucoup à ses concitoyens au Canada. Après une carrière illustre qu'il avait déjà eue dans la marine, comme astronaute, comme président de l'Agence spatiale canadienne. Je veux le remercier pour son courage, son détermination et aussi sa grande humilité. On a beaucoup à apprendre de lui.
Est-ce que c'est lié à un débat sur la langue? Il a quand même pris des prises de position.
M. Garneau a été ici durant plusieurs années. Il a contribué au meilleur de ses capacités et il a fait un travail remarquable sur son départ. Je pense qu'il a le droit d'aller passer plus de temps avec sa famille.
Can we get in English of why you rejected some of the Senate's amendments?
Well, first I want to thank the senators for all the work on this very important bill. We must say that this is the bill that spent the most time in the Senate in the history of Canada. And I think there's been throughout, lots of debate, full debates in the House and the Senate, and we're accepting a vast majority of the Senate amendments, but some that could create a loophole were not accepted, that's all.
Are there any the $5.5 million you announced on disinformation, combating disinformation?
What's that?
The $5.5 million announced the other day on combating disinformation in elections. How is that going to actually do that work?
Well, in many ways. First of all, we're funding research on what is disinformation, how it disseminates, and how to tackle this information, how better tool Canadians to make decisions based on facts. We say it quite often, think before you share.
Is it going to be publicizing during an election campaign or in the lead up to a campaign? Is it going to say this is false information propagated by the Chinese government?
No.
Is it going to do that kind of work?
It's general work. It's part of a larger program which gives tools to Canadians when they make decisions, to make decisions based on facts. And we're totally independent. Like, it's not the government that does that. That was very important. It's given to university, independent groups, researchers that will do the job.
How do you feel about Google not showing up?
Pardon, il y a 6h30 qui ont été ajoutées hier de séance en comité de langues officielles. Est-ce que ça suffit pour tous les amendements qui restent?
Oui, effectivement, je pense que c'est très important qu'on ajoute des heures, parce qu'on a eu des problèmes techniques lors des dernières rencontres. Ça fait que nous avons bien hâte de continuer le travail, et puis oui, je pense que ça sera suffisant.
Au départ, M. Garneau, un commentaire à sa décision ce matin, M. Marc Garneau.
Encore une fois, moi, je tiens à remercier M. Garneau pour son travail exceptionnel comme député, et puis aussi comme ministre pour les dernières années. Moi, j'ai beaucoup de respect pour M. Garneau, et puis, comme je dis, il a fait un travail exceptionnel, je lui souhaite bonne chance.
Est-ce qu'il a fait un peu le bordel dans le comité dans les dernières semaines?
Moi, j'avais remercié M. Garneau pour son travail exceptionnel comme député. Et puis, encore une fois, je lui souhaite une bonne retraite.
Comment vous avez appris son départ?
Finalement, je l'ai appris ce matin.
Par lui-même?
Je l'ai appris ce matin.
Par les médias.
Exactement, par les médias. Merci.
Merci.
Je travaille très fort avec M. Garneau. J'aime beaucoup notre temps et il a servi les Canadiens, Canadiennes et I wish him well.
Marc Garneau a fait rêver des millions de Canadiens. Il nous a inspirés en ayant conquis l'espace pour au nom de tous les Canadiens. Et il a donné sa vie à l'engagement public. Puis je suis très heureuse et très privilégiée d'avoir pu le côtoyer en tant que député.
C'était une surprise pour vous ce matin?
Merci.
Est-ce que ça suffit pour étudier tout ce qui reste?
Mais je pense que c'est le consensus qui est autour de la table, que 6h30 de plus, donc 3 sessions et demie, si je comprends bien, serait suffisante pour nous faire des débats sur des articles par article. Et après quoi, ce serait déposer l'article ou des amendements aux articles, vote, rejet, acceptation.
Un petit commentaire sur le départ de M. Garneau, un petit mot là-dessus.
Je viens de sortir de mon caucus atlantique, je ne suis pas au courant. Qu'est-ce que vous me dites?
M. Garneau, il annonce sa démission.
Ben, écoutez, je viens d'apprendre. Vous me l'apprenez.
Un petit commentaire sur sa carrière ou sur la fin de sa
Très belle carrière, moi, c'est un de mes héros.
Non, mais
c'est un de mes héros nationaux.
la question francophone, quand même, vous voyez
Je ne sais pas, je sors de mon caucus atlantique, je rentre, vous m'apprenez quelque chose. Ça sortit quand?
Maintenant.
Oui, non, mais il part. Il n'y a pas grand-chose.
La question, c'est qu'est-ce que je...
Est-ce que vous croyez qu'il y a un lien à faire entre son départ et ce qu'il a fait?
Je vais aller le lui demander. Je vais aller le lui demander.
Well, my views are that this is far larger. That Canada, that the government of China is an existential threat to Canada on a multiplicity of levels, and that we need to come to grips with that.
Is your government doing enough to deal with that, to confront it?
Well, it's not for me to say.
You're a member of the governing caucus.
The caucus, that's right. But I think we need as a nation to come to grips with the desire of the government of China to turn us all into vassal states. And I don't think we have.
So you think the public inquiry is warranted then?
No. I think we need to think our way through this very, very carefully.
Why? What's the risk of a public
Well,
inquiry?
because it's an existential threat that we've never, ever faced before on a multiplicity of levels.
It sounds like you're saying it's more of a problem in terms of the election and the democratic
Well,
process.
it's more than the election. It's at the universities, it's at the police stations, it's at the Confucius Institutes, it's at the exploitation of resources, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's far bigger than that.
We've been working towards modernizing the agreement with them, not just as of the meeting yesterday, but over the past number of years. But things feel like they're in a very good place.
You said before that you won't get a result when Biden comes. Have you changed that?
Look, I'm not expecting in the next couple of weeks to have a formal new deal for the presidential visit necessarily, but we're going to continue to work with our partners in the United States in order to continue to advance this discussion. We wanted to make sure that we're dealing not just with the Safe Third Country Agreement, but the shared issues around controlling the border, but also around irregular migration more broadly, to ensure that we're creating regular pathways for people who might be seeking accountability.
What are Canadian asks in terms of in your negotiations on Roxham Road? What are the Canadian asks? What do you ask of the Americans?
Well, look, I think you can appreciate that in private conversations with the Secretary for Homeland Security, there's a certain level of discretion that I think our partners expect and quite frankly deserve. What I can say is that the meeting was a very good use of my time. It was a productive discussion with my American counterpart, and we look forward to continuing these discussions to find a durable solution to promote regular migration.
You feel you moved ahead on the file, that things have progressed?
Yes, I think it was a useful meeting that we had. I think we have an excellent partner with Secretary Mayorkas. I think we've got an excellent partner with the United States. These are extraordinarily complicated issues when you're dealing with the volume of people who are migrating from Central and South America seeking to come to the United States or Canada, and they may take a little bit of time to settle on a solution that will be...
Regarding Connexion Francophone, you have this Quebec organization, AID, from Sherbrooke, that is under serious scrutiny from your department, over $200,000 that they owe to your department. I mean, you authorized over $280,000 more in their budget last December. Can you tell us why they are under scrutiny and why you authorized an increase in their budget if they are under scrutiny?
Look, I may have to follow up to provide the specific details of individual organizations, and just to make sure that we say what we can say, because sometimes as we work with organizations to ensure that they're meeting the standards that we demand of organizations that we fund, there are facts that emerge over the course of conversations with those organizations. We do monitor closely the quality of services that the recipient organizations provide to ensure that they're meeting a very high standard. But on the specifics, I'd be happy to follow up if you wish to send us a question that we can deal with after this morning.
Le bureau des visas de Yaoundé, il y a beaucoup de personnes qui disent qu'il va servir à rien du tout et même pas à traiter des demandes de visa. À quoi est-ce qu'il va servir ce bureau?
Juste parler plus long, s'il vous plaît.
Ah oui, oui. À quoi va servir le bureau de Yaoundé? Parce qu'il y a beaucoup de personnes qui disent que ce bureau ne va pas traiter des demandes de visa. À quoi est-ce qu'il va servir?
C'est un nouveau bureau. Il y a beaucoup de défis quand le gouvernement ouvrir un nouveau bureau. Mais la présence à Yaoundé est pour soutenir les personnes qui veulent venir au Canada et pour fournir des formations dans le processus d'immigration. Ce n'est pas juste pour traiter les caisses, juste pour la situation maintenant. C'est nécessaire juste parce que ce n'est pas. Sorry, it's not an issue that I had been dealing with over the past number of weeks. If you'd like to follow up specifically, I'd be happy to dig in and get you whatever information that you're looking for.
And the DOP yesterday, he published a report on the délai de traitement. I'm sorry.
Oui, no, c'est okay.
Yes.
C'est okay.
So he said that it was the biggest issue. Can you comment on that?
Oui, il y a beaucoup de défis dans l'année passée sur l'enjeu de temps pour traiter les cas en général. Ce n'est pas juste un bureau, mais il y a beaucoup de progrès. Après l'été passé, il y a moins de 600 000 cas dans le système maintenant, comme cet été. Le temps pour traiter les cas pour les résidences permanentes retourner à le standard après la pandémie. Pour les résidences temporaires, c'est très proche pour les permis de travail, les permis d'études. Il y a des travail maintenant pour les visas pour les visiteurs, mais je suis très confiante. Nous avons l'habilité pour améliorer nos habilités pour retourner à le standard plus vite. C'est OK? Je m'excuse.
Quick question. So, Safe for Third Country Agreement, you mentioned you obviously spoke to Mr. Mayorkas yesterday. Did you get a sense that it was more of a priority for him to renegotiate or talk about this deal than what Ambassador Cohen said on air a couple of weeks ago?
Look, I have enormous respect for both Ambassador Cohen and Secretary Mayorkas. With respect to my meeting yesterday, I can't feel that we could have a better partner with the United States. When it comes to advancing measures to strengthen the control at the Canada-U.S. border, or their southern border, of course, it's clearly a priority for them. They want to do it because they believe it's the right path forward to continue to have orderly management at their borders, and it's a priority that we share. So my sense is that they were more than happy to take a meeting on short notice, and I felt it was a very productive discussion that we had with the Secretary, and it's a shared priority, there's no question in my mind, for both Canada and the United States.
And if they don't move quickly enough on renegotiating the way that you would like, did you put suspending the agreement on the table?
That's not on my mind right now. If I can be completely candid with you, suspending the Safe Third, of course. Suspending the Safe Third Country Agreement would create a new suite of very serious problems. It would also not just create challenges as people seek to cross the Canada-U.S. border. It would encourage many people to make a potentially very dangerous journey from their country of origin. We have absolute tragic stories that have played out with people who are seeking to make a journey from Central and South America through the United States into Canada. You've seen some of them in the news. There are far more than have been reported on. And we want to make sure that we're promoting regular pathways. We want to have controlled borders, but open doors for people to come who qualify for our programs who have an interest in coming to Canada. These are serious challenges to work through, but the solution is not as simple as suspending the Safe Third Country Agreement. And in any event, my sense after my conversation with Secretary Mayorkas is that we have a willing partner who's willing to work with us to identify solutions to a priority that we both share.
I'm sorry if I missed the top of that answer on how they are reacting, but with the increasing pressure on Biden's administration via all the Republicans clamoring for changes at the border, do you think that the Democratic administration wants to renegotiate this deal seriously?
Well, my sense is that they were willing partners before recent news reports around Republicans addressing the issue on the northern border. But make no mistake, the Americans take border security and orderly migration as a very serious priority. They're dealing with numbers at the southern border that are in excess of 2.3 million people that have crossed in an irregular way last year. This is a challenge that they're familiar with, perhaps in greater numbers at the Canada-U.S. border than they've dealt with before. But my sense is their willingness to deal with this as a priority is not driven by recent news stories. It's driven by their honestly held belief that they wish to solve this challenge.
Would suspending the deal actually more regularize some of the crossings at the official land borders? Then people would actually be able to make a claim and not be sent back to a third country.
Well, you have to realize that for each solution that it may appear to present, there are many challenges that would arise as well. I expect if there was no safe third country to begin with, which essentially a suspension would result in, you would see a return to the challenge that justified its existence in the first place, with an increase in the number of people who seek to cross in an irregular way. You might see more people cross at official points of entry, but you might see thousands and thousands of more people make the decision to take an extremely dangerous journey. We want to make sure that we continue to work to promote regular pathways to come to Canada. We have some of the most generous immigration programs in the world. There are tens of thousands of people who come from Central and South America to Canada every year on a temporary basis, and many thousands more who come as permanent residents. The answer here is to make sure that in the short term, we support people adequately who've arrived in Canada. In the medium term, try to achieve a solution with our partners in the United States. And in the long term, continue to be a good citizen of the world by making investments that address the root cause of irregular migration at the same time that we promote regular pathways to Canada.
That sounds like you did a check on all the boxes.
Yeah, list of three works really well. It's not even written down anywhere. Yeah, and look, congrats again, Tata.
Thanks.
Groceries from CEOs are testifying today at the Agriculture Committee. Any thoughts at all on what can be done about high food prices?
Look, I mean, I know my constituents on Tropical Center, Canadians across the country are struggling with food prices, the rising cost of living. I think that our government has done the average to address the food targets, of course, pay the rent, pay the bills. But also, as we see, inflation rates have stabilized, and we're starting to see indications hope that inflation rates will come down, and costs will come down. So we're doing a whole bunch of things to try to address this, and keep working on it until prices are back to where Canadians are accustomed to.
Do you think we should get a better look at the books for grocery store companies to see their profit margins, to see whether there was so-called greedflation happening during the pandemic?
I do think that it's incumbent on everyone in our society, including large companies, private sector companies, corporations, to make sure that they're behaving responsibly, particularly at a time like this.
Are you concerned at all with some of the amendments that now there's going to be a bit of a standoff with the Senate on C-11?
No, I think there's been a really good dialogue. Look, the C-11 had more time in the Senate than just about any other piece of legislation in history. So there's been a lot of study and a lot of discussion, and we've had a good conversation back and forth with the Senate. I think it's been very productive. We've started the debate. We see clear support from the NDP and the Bloc and ourselves. We're dedicated to passing this legislation. So I think you'll see very broad support from the elected House on this legislation. We will have a fulsome response to the Senate's amendments, and I'm very confident that the Senate will accept our verdict on it. Thank you.
Any comment on the CRTC announcing the 10% reduction to wholesale internet?
Well, you know, we're being adamant, and you know me by now, to bring down prices in Canada. And I think the new directive is paying off for Canadians, you know. We've been asking the CRTC to make sure that prices go down, that we'd have more competition. And that's one of the tools in the toolbox to make sure that we would have better prices for Canadians. And as you know, There's another big decisions to come, and my focus, and I'm relentless, is to make sure that whatever we do, that Canadians who are paying higher, high prices in Canada, we all know that the rates would go down. So that's in the spirit of the vision we put, and the policy is paying dividend now to Canadians.
And with the more big decisions to come, any update on when you make the Rogers Shaw
Listen,
decision?
I'm fighting for Canadians every day. So when in due course we'll do that, but trust me, it's not that I'm shooting the breeze. Every single day I'm fighting for Canadians so that the Canadians will feel when I render that decision that it's in their best interest and it's promoting to have lower prices in Canada.
What's the holdup in here now? We've seen the deadline be extended.
It's me. I'm the hold up. I'm the hold up because I want to make sure that whatever decision I take is in the best interest of Canadians. And you know me by now. I'm not the guy to be pushed over when I fight for Canadians. So when we have what we want, we will be able to announce it to Canadians and obviously render the decision.
What lingering concerns do you have in relation to the deal?
Well, I've said to Canadians all along, that what we want is lower prices. The way that we have found in Canada to be able to do that is through competition. And the way we have expressed that in Canada is to have a fourth national player, a strong fourth national player in Canada. And therefore, that's what I want to make sure we have in Canada. But to make it simple to Canadians is that, lower prices, every day that you see waiting for a decision is a day I'm fighting for Canadians, so they have better prices.
How can it be good for competition, though, if Rogers does flash out? We only have a small handful of big telecoms anyway, if one eats the other.
Well, at the end, what you want, and that's what I'm saying, in Canada, the best expression of that is to have four national players, because we've seen, and there's a lot of data to suggest that you see when you have more players in the market, obviously in Canada it's four, that's what brought the prices down for Canadian, and that's what I'm adamant, and that's why I'm fighting every day. But in due course,
What's the timeline of when we can have a decision?
Listen, the timeline I have is the one that will make sure that I obtain what I want for Canadians.
Are Canadians being misled on Chinese interference?